this evening in the absence of our mayor who's detained on business. The first thing we'll do, we follow our proud custom of standing and reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we proceed with the meeting this evening, there'll be multiple opportunities for public comment. Those who have seen the meetings before understand when and how that is, and we'll go through that as we go through the meeting. But before we can proceed further, we need to call the roll. So I ask our village clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner Wallace?
Here.
Commissioner Earl?
Here.
Commissioner Waldeck? Commissioner White?
Here.
Commissioner Jose?
Here.
Commissioner Barnett?
Here.
Mayor Tully?
Okay, a quorum has been established. The next item on our agenda are minutes from our prior meeting. The chair invites a motion to approve the minutes from our prior meeting.
Mayor White, I move to approve the council meeting minutes from February 20th, 2018.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any comments or corrections? Any discussion regarding the minutes? Hearing none. All in favor of the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The minutes are approved unanimously. Now, item 4 is our first opportunity for public comment, which I mentioned before. This is an opportunity for any member of the public who's here this evening to come to the podium and address the council on any matter of village business which is not appearing on this evening's agenda. This is general comment time. If anybody here has something they'd like to say to us, the podium is open. Please come to the podium, state your name and address, and tell us what you have to say. Yes, please.
Hi, so I hate doing this kind of stuff, and I've never been to one of these meetings before. But something happened to me about a week ago that I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of. I was fortunate enough to speak with the chief and the fire chief in Lyle, and he recommended that I come to one of these meetings. Last Tuesday, I was driving south on Belmont and suffered a grand mal seizure with me and my 11-year-old. I don't remember too much for obvious reasons, other than I ended up somewhere in the grass, jumped a curb. I'm not really sure what happened. She dialed 911 and waved some lady down who was really an angel and stopped to help. And then when I finally came to, obviously there was police and ambulances everywhere. They had the whole lane blocked off, and I at first thought I was I was witnessing something else. I didn't know that they were there for me until the officers started asking me questions like, what is the month and what is the day? And I'm like, yeah, of course I know. And I couldn't respond. My daughter was absolutely hysterical, beside herself. To this day, she won't talk about it. I don't really know what happened between her and the lady who stopped and the officers. I mean, it really kind of saved my life. And so I feel never have had that type of experience before. Never have even needed to dial 911. I've never had a close interaction with law enforcement until this. And it gets me really choked up because there's a couple officers that were there that never left our side. There's Jay Johnson, Jeffrey Mertz. I don't know which one was which, but they stayed on one side with my car. I was still on the driver's side, and one with my daughter. She was on the passenger side. Kept talking to us, kept trying to keep my daughter calm, which was virtually impossible. She was crying, she could not even speak, until the ambulance arrived. And they didn't leave until we were safely in the ambulance. Made sure I had my purse, make sure she had her school bag. And they were with such patience and compassion and made a really, really scary situation a little bit more tolerable. Once I was in the ambulance, which I've never been in the ambulance before, lights and sirens, the whole thing was very, very intense. There were 2 paramedics from the Lyle Woodridge Fire, Gary Peck and Joshua, I don't know how to say his last name, Runge, I think. My daughter was in the front seat with Joshua, and he kept speaking with her because of that. I was still unable to console her. I was still trying to figure out what the heck was happening. And then I was in back with Gary, who went out of his way to make me feel not just like another call, You know, he was very, it was a very intimate type setting, very personalized, made me very, very emotional. He made sure that everything was taken care of. Once I got to the hospital, I found I didn't have my phone, didn't have anything. I was unable to communicate. I come to find out there was a bunch of sheriff deputies there as well that also went out of their way, found my ID, went to my home, notified my uncle with whom I live, then offered to give him a ride to pick up my car so that he could hurry up and get to the hospital, which, I mean, everybody knows the police, they go above and beyond, and that's what they're trained to do. I just wanted, I feel like it's a mission now that I have, that people need to know so much good between the officers and between this lady who stopped. And I can't find her, you know, her name was not in the report, and it's killing me. So I've been making posts on the neighborhood app. I've, you know, written to the reporter, I made a post on the patch, Downers Grove patch, trying to find this Good Samaritan who just stopped and saw my daughter in such distress. And I just wanted to make sure that I cover all my bases, because I want everybody possible to know what these officers did for me and for my 11-year-old daughter. It's really, really important to me to spread some good out of such a really scary, traumatic situation. And that was why I came today.
Well, thank you so much for coming this evening. Thank you for your courage in coming here and talking to us. I have one small question to ask first, though. I'm not sure you ever told us what your name is.
Oh, Amanda.
Amanda, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes, and I've lived in Downers Grove pretty much my whole life. My daughter goes to Henry Puffer, so it really hit home for me, very much so.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming, and it's very important because it emphasizes for all of us how with police and fire response, seconds do count. And it's something that we definitely take great pride in, that our village has truly outstanding public safety, both the police and the fire. And as your elected officials, it's our responsibility to safeguard that. And these, you know, and you're telling this, you're telling us this story, both very, very inspiring for you to have the courage to come up and do this, and also motivates us to make sure that the police and the fire get the resources they need.
Absolutely.
So they can be there when seconds count.
And they are. And I literally have the seconds. I mean, they went, the team is just amazing that is here in Downers Grove, and people won't really be able to experience that unless, unfortunately, something scary and traumatic and horrible happens. But when you have that experience and you get that one-on-one, it makes all the difference in the world. And I've noticed on some of these posts, and I mentioned the officer's name, a lot of people know these officers who have gone above and beyond. Oh, I know Jay, oh, I know that, you know, like, so they're really, really some incredible people, and I just want to make sure everybody knows that. I'm going to go visit them at the firehouse tomorrow. I'm going to the police department, like I'm on a mission. I'm going to track these people down, you know, to make sure that I can give them a hug and tell them what impact and how they changed their lives.
Well, thank you again for coming. Like I said, I think it's an important thing that you do, and I think it emphasizes for all of us that we really should not take for granted the fact that we have a truly outstanding police department, and we have a truly outstanding, this was Lyle Wooders in this case, but our fire department is outstanding as well.
Yes.
You know, the Downers Grove Fire Department, and that's, when we talk about core services, making sure that those services are available is our number one reason for being here.
Huge, yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Is there anybody else that has something they'd like to say during that portion of our meeting? Okay, we'll move on to item 5 on our agenda, which is our consent agenda. The chair asks if there's a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mayor White, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Does any member of the audience have any comments to make regarding any item on this evening's consent agenda? Okay, members of the council, and then we call the roll, please.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Barnett?
Aye.
Mayor White?
Aye. The consent agenda passes unanimously. Item 6 on our agenda is our active agenda. These are matters which were previously considered at a first reading. In this instance, that was 2 weeks ago. And this evening is when the motion will be made for the village council to take action. The chair invites a motion to approve item 6A on the active agenda.
Mayor White, I move to adopt an ordinance approving an amendment to a planned unit development number 1 to allow construction of a convenience store with drive-through at 2001 63rd Street with the removal of condition number 6 as presented.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Is there any member of the audience that wishes to address the village council on agenda item 6A? Any comments from members of the council before we vote? Commissioner Jose.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm in full support of this project tonight. I think the economic development that it presents is a fantastic thing for the village. And I congratulate Walgreens on getting this project done. I know it's been a long time coming, relocating this particular store to something approximating the current location. I'm a little disappointed at the removal of condition 6. I think this is a building that really can be viewed from all sides very easily, whether you're on 63rd, whether you're on Woodward, whether you're coming out of the store, one of the other stores there at the Meadowbrook Shopping Center. And under our code, a corner lot, and this is really on the corner, has 2 front yards. And I think it makes sense that we should treat both the Woodward facing and 63rd Street facing sides as if they were front yards and make the building uniform. That said, the economic development that this represents is more important. So I look forward to voting in favor of it despite the removal of condition 6. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments? Okay. I just want to say briefly that I totally agree that this is a big win to be able to move forward with this project. And adding a second development lot, which will come in the future, I think is a significant improvement over what we've asked before. I'll just kind of briefly, I'm not an architect or a designer. My understanding is that there's a difference of opinion regarding the best way to avoid having it look like a backside. I think everyone agrees that we want to have more or less 2 front elevations. But with that, I think there'll be more for us to talk about. But in the meantime, let's proceed with this. Anything further? Call the vote, please.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Burnett?
Nay.
Mayor White?
Aye. That motion passes 4-1. Item 6B. Is there the chair invites a motion for item 6B?
Mayor White, I'd like to make a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing an amendment to a special use for 2001 63rd Street to permit a convenience store with a drive-through with the removal of condition 6 as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and it occurs to me that for people in the audience or what we're watching at home, perhaps we haven't explained, all 3 items on our active agenda pertain to a project at 63rd Street and Woodward Avenue. It's the new Walgreens that'll go where Roundheads was before, and we did discuss this further. These are various aspects of what's basically the same project. So with that said, are there any further comments? Any further comments from anybody in the audience regarding item 6B? Any further comments from members of the Village Council beyond what was said already? Hearing none, can we call that roll, please?
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Burnett?
Nay.
Mayor White?
Aye. Item 6B passes 4-1. Then item 6C is the third. This is the Plata subdivision. It's the third piece of what's basically one project. So all 3 votes pertain to the one single project. The chair invites a motion with respect to active agenda item 6C.
Mayor White, I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution approving the final plat of subdivision for 2001 63rd Street with the removal of condition 6 as presented.
Second.
Anybody in the audience wish to address the Village Council with respect to agenda item 6C? Any members of the Village Council have any comments not previously made? Call that vote, please.
Commissioner Earl?
Aye.
Commissioner Wallace?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Commissioner Burnett?
Aye.
Mayor White?
Aye. That motion passes unanimously. That concludes this evening's active agenda. Item 7 on our agenda is first reading. Unlike the active agenda where we vote to approve and take final action, first reading is the initial presentation of an item that will be voted on at a future meeting. Our process for first reading is the village manager or a member of staff that he designates will make a presentation regarding the item. Members of the council will have an opportunity to ask questions. Members of the public will have an opportunity to ask questions or make comments. We will not be taking a vote this evening. This is just to allow us to introduce the topic. With that, I turn the floor over to our village manager, Dave Fieldman.
Thank you, Mayor White. Just one item on tonight's first reading agenda. It concerns the property at 1205 Franklin Street. And here to provide the background information on this petition is our Community Development Director, Stan Popovich.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. As Manager Fieldman noted, this is a historic landmark application for 1205 Franklin Street. The property is just a little bit northwest of the downtown here at the corner of Franklin and Saratoga here outlined in yellow. It is a home that was constructed around 1895 in a Queen Anne style. The home, as you can see, has many Queen Anne features, including this corner turret. On top of the turret is a leaded glass and decorative soffit as well. If we look on the east elevation, there's a hip dormer, which is to the left of the turret here. If we look on the north elevation, you see a gabled turret with a curved window around the top. Another interesting feature of the home on the west elevation is this oriel window, which is a projecting bay window that you can see to the left of the door. That oriel window is visible from the street on the north side there on Franklin as well. The proposal complies with the landmark criteria. It was built approximately 123 years ago, and it is a distinctive Queen Anne style. If there's any questions at this time, I'd be happy to answer those for the council.
So how many is that now? I'm going to ask that every time.
I apologize. Mayor White. This is the first one this year. So
That's good.
We're moving along this year as well.
And actually, while I was sitting here, I just had this is probably a very bizarre thought, but every time the Cubs win, they fly a W flag. We should find a way. We should find a way to have some public symbol every time in historic house. We can't do it tonight; it's first reading. But after we approve it, there should be a banner somewhere for a few days to say, "Yep, we got another one." It'd be a good thing to do.
I'll work on that.
Anybody else on the council have anything that they'd like to ask regarding this petition? Anything they'd like to say about this petition? With that, we'll open, I'm sorry, okay. With that, I'll open up to the audience. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to address the council regarding this petition?
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council, and staff. I'm Irene Hoekstrom, live at 1232 Gilbert Avenue, and that's the 1891 Year Day house. And so on behalf of myself and also representing Friends of the Edwards House, I would like to express support for landmarking 1205 Franklin Street. It's a lovely example of a Queen Anne, and the Hammers have done a beautiful job of maintaining the home. So I thank them for bringing this forward and would also like to welcome them into the fold of those of us who are landmarked homeowners. So thank you.
Hello, Rich Cullivaney, 6825 Camden. I also stand in support of landmarking 1205 Franklin. It's a lovely home, and we really thank the Hammers for their willingness to protect this home for posterity. So thank you very much.
Good evening. Amy Gasson, 5320 Benton Avenue. I just want to express my support for this home being designated a historic landmark. I also wanted to point out that this is a centennial home, which was the Downers Grove Historical Society's former honorary plaquing program, so it's always fun to see these come forward and kind of go to the next step of landmarking, and I want to express my thanks and appreciation for the homeowners for bringing this petition forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Chuck Holtzen, 5226 Carpenter Street, and my husband and I would also like to support the landmark of this house. Thanks.
Anyone else? Okay. Any final comments or members of the council before we conclude this first reading item? No, we look forward to another celebration.
Thank you, Mayor White. That ends our first reading tonight.
Okay, and then we move now to item 8, which is the mayor's report. I will appropriate that and just make 2 brief comments. First of all, I'd like to remind everybody, this may be, unfortunately, may be sold out, but on March 8th, this coming Thursday, is the Grove Foundation's Passport to Dining. I've done that now for several years. It's been a marvelous event. If there's tickets remaining, I apologize, I don't know if they are. Please go and grab some, because it really is a wonderful event. I believe tickets are available either at Anderson's Bookstore and a few other places, but if you go online for the Grove Foundation and Passport for Dining, you should have no problem finding it. Second, I just have to say again how heartwarming it is that, a member of our community was able to come forward and tell her story about how our public safety officials really made a difference in her life. And I was reminded it wasn't that much long ago when our fire department went above and beyond to pull somebody out of, when they fell through broken ice. So this is something that I know that was on the news, and we just have to continually remind ourselves how important it is that we have, how lucky we are and how important it is we do not take for granted the services that were provided. And that will end my appropriation of the mayor's report. Move on to the manager's report.
No report tonight, Mayor White. Thank you.
Now, as council member reports, this is an opportunity for individual members of the council to talk about things that are happening in the community or anything they're doing with various groups they may be liaisons to. I'll start to my left. Commissioner Barnett.
I have no report, Mayor.
Commissioner Earl.
No report.
Commissioner Jose.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to remind everybody that it is, as almost always, election season. Early voting is available here at Village Hall from yesterday through Saturday, March the 17th in the committee room. Monday through Friday, it's 8:30 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. and Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Please come out and vote. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Wallace.
No report, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, we move to item 11. The chair invites a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.